going anywhere until you tell us the truth.
The truth is, we have no time for this.
Who are you? And why did Kim call you Crimson Jack?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you the whole long story on the ship.
33!
Alright, Captain. Is the Jedi giving you trouble?
We are not going anywhere until you tell us who you are. Crimson Jack?
Well, you're not going anywhere without coordinates. Hey!
The X-Wings! Here we are! We're right over here!
Stop! You want to know who I am? Yeah? You want to know? I'll tell you. I'll tell you who I am. Come on. On the ship.
Tell us now! The truth!
The
truth!
The
The
truth!
truth!
The truth! The truth is, I'm just like you. Okay? I'm lost. I'm alone.
But you are a Jedi, right?
I never actually said that.
What? I knew it. How do you make things float?
Listen, Kim's goons are not gonna help you get home. But you and me, we want the same thing. Let's make a deal. I'll get you home. I'll do the right thing, maybe get a little reward. We'll make a partnership.
Not partners. You work for us. Deal?
Deal.
Yeah, I am ready to talk Skeleton Crew. A new Star Wars live-action series, and I can't wait to watch and podcast. Each episode I will share my thoughts without any notes. I'm ready to start watching on Disney Plus. We'll watch on Disney Plus. Crewnies on Disney Plus. We'll never ever say die.
What are you doing? You let them get away.
It's too risky with the kids inside. Any idea where they're headed?
If I told you, you wouldn't believe me.
There's a cat owl lady and she lives on the moon. Jar takes the kids there, but they all find out soon that they don't trust each other, and it leads to a fight on the latest episode of Skeleton Crew tonight. Happy Tuesday, everybody, and welcome back to The Mandalorian Man Presents Crewnies Never Say Die, where we're here ready to talk about episode 3 of Skeleton Crew this evening. Episode 3 titled Very Interesting, an Astrogration Problem. I hope I said that right. Folks, welcome back to Crewnies Never Say Die. It is week 2 of the show, episode 3 of Skeleton Crew, and this one was another fun episode. We have a brand new character, Kim, spelled Star Warsian, but just Kim, who was actually voiced by Aaliyah Shawkat, really, for me, best known as Maybe Funke from Arrested Development. I never would have guessed it was her. I didn't know she did such good voice work that did not sound like her at all. Like when I heard the voice, it's like, it sounds like someone, but I thought, okay, when I hear the voice, I'm going to say, of course. Nope, I was completely taken aback, you would say. But we'll get to that owl cat lady in a little bit. And I don't know what species that is. I don't know if that's, that is the Makuli that was in episode 17 of Rebels, but it was in the background. It was a senator. I don't know any of that stuff. To me, it's an owl cat, and I've never seen anything like it. And it's the first time that to me it's ever been in Star Wars for me. So I don't know. But we'll get to Kim at the end of the episode, or the second half of the episode. Let's, of course, do what makes the most sense and start at the beginning. We actually start at the very boring, very mysterious at Atten. And I like the fact that this show, it isn't just that the kids are on an adventure. It's the mystery of the fact that these kids are from someplace that is part of the adventure. This planet that I remember, talking about as a ho hum drum kind of boring place in the first episode, actually adds to the magic of the series, because what is it that these people do on this planet? What is is the planet just a boring planet that just happens to have money and therefore it's like seen as mysterious? No, I think there's a lot more going on here, because the planet's hidden. The planet has a reputation, but the people on the planet don't seem to know what the hell is actually going on, or they seem to be just kind of going through the flow. And the kids even bring it up. They're like, what is your parents? An analyst. What's yours? An accountant or whatever. What's yours? An analyst. Well, what do they analyze? Like, I don't know. And then they thought maybe money. The episode start now. For these people though, it's just life. They're just living life. They don't think they're doing anything weird, but they're probably, unbeknownst to them, this is just a guess, unbeknownst to them, they're probably secretly just kind of almost being not slave labor, but they're cogs in a machine that they don't understand. They're just going about their day as cogs, and they don't realize they're actually probably supplying something, or they are contributing to something, building something. They're doing something they probably don't realize what they're actually doing. And there's probably some sort of like much worse, I don't know if it's sinister, but there's something about the planet that they don't even know about. They're not trying to hide anything. And you could see that in the droids, where the droids are like, you can't leave the barrier. Even though the parents are all freaking out. So all the parents are together at one of the houses, and the robot comes back. He's like, I have been sent by the supervisor. So this supervisor, and they're all like, we need to talk to the supervisor. Supervisor this, supervisor that. And they're like, is the supervisor going to look for our kids? Because the ship is past the barrier. They will not look for it. They will not know where to look. And you can't go past the barrier. The barrier is, forbidden. It is, there will be consequences or something if you go past the barrier. And if you look at these droids, they don't have faces. They have one big camera on their face. And it's almost like their big brother watching over these people, making them go through life in a way that they're just kind of, they're living. They think, everything's fine. But I feel like something's being pulled over the eyes of these people. And the fact that these kids got away, they got through the barrier, is going to not only expand the world for the kids, but eventually expand the world for the parents. It's the only time we were on at Atten is at this beginning part, where the robot is telling them, there's nothing we can do. You can't do anything. It's against the rules to go. And you see Wim's dad just kind of sitting there, and I feel like he is going to lead the other parents to take some risky maneuvers. Now, maybe I'm totally guessing. Maybe they're like, well, I know someone who can help. And then they have to go find someone who leads, them out, while at the same time, in reality, Jude Law, his character, Jod, I just got to stop calling him Jod. You just take Jude Law, say it real quickly, and add a D, Jod. Jod is trying to get the kids back to the planet because, he thinks there's a reward. He says, he goes, maybe I'll get a reward, but he also knows the reputation of this planet. So maybe there's not only a reward, but there's also treasure. And the kids talk about, they're like, treasure? What treasure? We don't have any treasure. There's no treasure on our planet. But the stories say there is. And what entices a pirate more than treasure? So as we pick up with Jod Jod-na-na wood, Jod-na-na wood, also called Crimson Jack. All right. Anyway, as we pick up with Jod, he is breaking them out of the prison. And even the kids are like, well, if you could break out of prison, why did you wait for us? If you could break out at any time? He's like, well, I needed a ship, and the Force provided. He never says he's a Jedi, but he keeps giving them winks, and he is using the Force. He seems to be using the Force, even though the girl, I can't think of her name, the main girl was like, the captain was like, it could be anything. It could be magnets, which is a joke, I think, for me, originated from Star Wars Minute podcast. I wonder if they got that from that, because it's a pretty popular podcast, so there is a definite chance. So it could be strings, it could be boosters, all kinds of things that she doesn't trust them. The girls do not trust him at all. The boys, it seems like Neil is like, yeah, I guess so, and Wim's like, yes, of course we trust him. He's helping us. He's a Jedi. He's this. He's that. He's totally in on it. He's totally in for it. So they go to escape, and they get to the ship, but then they're like, we need to go back for the droid. He's like, it's a droid. We don't need to go back. He's like, look. He goes back. We're going back for the droid. He's like, fine, don't touch anything. I'll be back. And he does do it because, again, this is his ticket out of here. This is his ticket to hopefully treasure. But of course, going back has consequences. He tries to sneak out, and this guy who used to work for him, called him captain, said, oh, what you doing out here? It's like, oh, I'm just, I let myself out. It's no big deal. He's like, oh, you got out before the trial, captain, let you out before your trial. He's like, oh, nothing. He goes, of course, I'm going to have to tell the captain. Next scene, we see him racing back with a little trap. I don't know what you would call it, like almost a dinghy, a transport. And he's getting shot at from other transports. He gets back to the ship, but the ship is tied up with fuel lines. So it's good that the ship is fueled up. And he has to do this crazy thing where he wraps the fuel line around all these ships. Then they push it to hyperspeed. The fuel line rips out. It kicks back and destroys a ton of, kills a bunch of people, destroys a bunch of ships. But the captain just stands there. And then his second in command, General Urkel, says, did I do that? No, Jaleel White there says, do you want me to go after him? He goes, I want a bounty on his head. That's the Captain Werewolf Man. So that's where we left off. So we're not done with them. They are being pursued by the werewolf captain and his crew, which is Jod's old crew. Now he says, I'm bringing you to my friend. She, knows how to find places. If anyone can find At-Aten, it'll be her. And they're like, because he even like, are you really from At-Aten? They're like, yeah. What treasure? Like, he's in on it, but he doesn't quite believe. Nobody seems to believe this place is real. And you could see KB was doubting him. She's like, the odds are you're not a Jedi. He goes, it just, that's just, I did the odds. He goes, not everything can be calculated in the galaxy. Now get some rest. And he never screws them. Not yet. But he never puts them in danger. But he hasn't betrayed them yet. So I'm hoping he doesn't, because that is a tired old trope. I'm expecting it to happen at some point, or for him to have to make the choice. And hopefully he chooses correctly. Because as we learn, he's not simply what he appears to be, or what he's making himself appear to be to the children. So they eventually get to this moon, and he's like, look, I just want to tell you, and there's some cool shots. Actually, the image I use for this episode is them walking across the moon. He's like, I just want to let you know that she might try to stab us in the back, because we didn't quite leave on the best terms. So as they are approaching her bunker, her whatever you call it, her hideout, not her hideout, her base camp, you can hear her talking to someone saying, it's him, all right. And it looks like he might have kidnapped some children. Oh, those poor kids, we have to save them. Make sure to alert the authorities. So already just stall them as long as you can. We finally see Kim, and of course it's spoiled because the thumbnail image of this episode is an owl. We didn't, it just looked like an owl when now we realize that owl is cat owl lady Kim. I mean, she, at one point I thought she was part bat, but she has feathers on her wings, but her face, her like nose is kind of like a cat, but her head and like brow is an owl, so she's owl cat lady. I might have said cat owl lady in my song, but it could be cat owl lady, owl cat lady. I don't know. I hope it's not the last time we saw her because she seemed like a good character and someone that can be helpful to the children. She is she has the ability to, kind of locate things. She uses clues, she uses charts, she uses maps, all kinds of things. And she's like, she talks to the kids about that planet, what it's near. She's like, well, we learn about, I don't know, we learn about Coruscant and Alderaan. They're like, Alderaan. She goes, I guess you didn't hear about, how the war. And they're like, what war? Like these kids, they don't even know that the Empire, no, they know about the Jedi though. So but they don't know that there was the war and the rebels and the basically what made up the three movies of Star Wars, the original trilogy. They seem to not know that, or they're not taught that in their schools, because they don't want to know, they don't want to have like any actual knowledge. They just want to teach them what they want to teach them, which sounds, that sounds kind of familiar in some corners of the world. So they, one thing she notices is a patch on the main girl's, I can't remember her name. I remember KB, Neil, Wim. You know what? I'm going to look it up just because I feel bad that I'm very much, notoriously don't remember characters' names, but if I can remember all three, I can remember Fern, of course, Fern. That reminds me of like Egg on Arrested Development. I can never remember the name, and her name is Fern. Fern, Wim, KB, and Neil. So there's a patch on Fern because she was one of the top students, and she uses that to kind of identify certain things that allows her to track where possibly this planet is, and they know about the barrier. So she says, "Oh, it must be like a gaseous, outer rim that may be blocking it. That'll help us too." And she starts narrowing down worlds. Apparently, she got the calculations on a card, but she was stalling them because she was waiting for a couple of X-wings to show up and pick up not Jod Nanawood, as we know him, but Crimson Jack. Now that's a pirate's name. I love it. I wanted to just call him Jack going forward, but right now it's still Jod, and there's a bit of a tussle. He steals the card. He fires at her. I don't think he wants to actually hit her, but he's like, call it off. She doesn't call it off. They're like, we have to get the heck out of here. They're like, do we trust him? We got us this far. And KB and Kim, they're talking, and Kim's like, keep your head out. Don't just follow your heart, follow your head. Ask questions, and if you ever need anything, I will be there for you. So we will probably see her again. They run back to the ship, but before they get on the ship, that's the clip I played at the beginning. They're like, we need to know who you are. Who the hell's Crimson Jack? What is this? He's like, I'm just like you. I have nothing. I have no one. And I just want to get you home. Yes, maybe I thought I can get you there and get a little reward, so we're helping each other. Come on, I'll tell you everything on the ship. So maybe we'll get more of a story of Crimson Jack when we're on the ship. And I love that SM-33 is loyal to Captain Fern, and Jod knows that droid could beat the crap out of him, and he's like, he cowers to him. So they have him on their side, and he's not going to hurt kids, but he realizes, okay, I'll get you there. We'll be partners. Like, no. And KB says, you work for us. Deal? And he says, deal. They get on the ship, and he lets Neil fly the plane. He goes, just kind of move it around. Just be evasive, as he brings Wim and Fern to these gunner pods, or whatever you'd call them, where they can fire at the X-Wings. Now, I hope he's not saying kill these X-Wing pilots, because They work for the New Republic. These are just, they're not the enemy. They're just kind of like the police. But they do fire at them, and one of them hits. Wim thinks it's him. Fern's like, that's my shot. And they eventually get away. They get into hyperspeed and take off. At the end, we see Kim and the X-Wing pilot. I thought maybe he'd be someone. I didn't recognize him at all. And he's like, you let them get away. He's like, it's too dangerous with the kids. Where were they going anyway? And she's like, if I told you, you never would believe me. So the mystery of At-Aten, that to me is now the crux of the show. It's not just these kids going on a space adventure, but I feel like most of the heavy lifting will be the space adventure to get back to At-Aten. And I want to see little glimpses of kind of clues to what At-Aten, what the secret is, what it's hiding, why it's hiding. I want to see that along the way, but I also want to see, fun space pirate stuff. And I want to hear the story of Crimson Jack Gar, because he seems like, I thought this was going to be his ship and SM was going to be his droid, but that doesn't make any sense really when you think about it, because that looks like it's been on At-Aten for a long time. But I do like that he is the captain. He had the helmet on, but we know there was a mutiny. He was put in the brig to be put on trial. I did notice in the recap that the werewolf captain says put them in the brig for a couple of days. So it wasn't like he was keeping the kids forever. He was just putting them in the brig, I guess, for now. But they escaped. They got away. But now they have Werewolf Man chasing them. They have possibly the X-Wings, at least alerted to the ship with Wim. And back on that, and they have parents that are very nervous, very scared, and very worried about their kids, while at the same time, the quote-unquote authority don't seem to care and don't want them to bother. It's just like, we can't do anything about it. Sorry. Back to work. Back to analyzing. Yeah, that's pretty much the episode. Wasn't very, very long, but it just got us another step in the right direction. Quite enjoyed it. And I hope you guys enjoyed it too. It wasn't a great week. It was a kind of up and down week for me as far as recommendations. I pushed the show. The moment I saw it, I said, you got to watch it. You got to watch it. You got to watch it. My friend, he is, he's roughly my age, a little older than me, but he grew up on the same shows that I did. He's like, I couldn't even get into it. I couldn't stick around. I was devastated. At the same time, my brother, who was 3 years older than me, is like, I'm in. I like it. I was like, yes, very good. And it's like, but the guy that I, that didn't like it, he enjoyed a movie I recommended. At the same time, our other friend who we podcast over at Fine Movies, Fine Spirits, gave up on this movie, and it has nothing to do with Star Wars. It's just my week of recommendation. I've been pushing Wonka like crazy. I think that movie is excellent. He was not into it. And I was just like, ugh. So I got one friend who's not into Wonka, one friend who's not into Skeleton Crew. I'm like, thankfully, I don't give a crap about other people's opinions. I let myself decide, and I don't let their, what they think is cool or what they think is good weigh in on my ultimate opinion. And my opinion of this show is exponentially enjoyable. It's an adventure and it's fun. It's fun. And I'm enjoying it. Jude Law's really good so far. And he's kind of like a scoundrel, but he's not a smuggler. He's a pirate, but he's got that little kind of a swashbuckling Han Solo in him. And instead of just Luke Skywalker, he's got, the Goonies with him. So the Crewnies. So I'm loving it so far, and I hope you are too. And listen, I'll be back next Tuesday to do this again. But in the meantime, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, Mastodon.social, Blue Sky. Blue Sky is the big one I'm at now, all at Geek Mentality. On TikTok, it's Geek Mentality Mike. On Facebook, it's Fans Not Experts. On YouTube, it's Fans Not Experts. That's because the website is fansnotexperts.com. That's it. I'm done. I will see you next Tuesday, everybody. But until then, thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. May the force be with you. And remember, Crewnies never say die.
Fans not experts.